Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at Photoshop's shape tool. So the shape tool is located here below the type tool, and if you right mouse click on it, you'll see that there are different kinds of shape tools that are available to us. So there's rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygonal line, and then we've got a custom shape tool. We're just going to look at the rectangle tool and the custom shape tool in this particular video, and then you can go off and explore these other ones on your own. So when you pick up the rectangle tool, you get a crosshairs here. There's a few things that you can set up in the options bar before you start, but this is all changeable afterwards as well. So if you haven't set it up, it's not a problem. You can edit it after you've created the shape. But the key thing here is to make sure that this option here is set to actually create a shape rather than creating a path or creating pixels. So by using a shape, what it will do is it will create another layer here, an actual shape layer, which will give us independence in terms of manipulating this shape later on, such as resizing it or moving it and positioning it. So I'm just going to click and draw out a shape, a rectangle shape. There we go, and what this does is it automatically opens up this new panel window called the Properties panel window, and it has features in here which are very similar to the features that were available up here on the options bar. So one thing that you can do is you could change the fill color, so you could change that here and you could change it here, so that's the color that the shape is actually filled with. You could also change a stroke color, so a stroke is the sort of color that goes around the outside of your shape. So if we just make that sort of a blue, you'll start to see that you've got like this border that goes around the outside. You can change the weight of that border, so you could make it thicker, for example. You could change the style of it, so at the moment it's a solid line. You could go for a custom dashed line and make your own one if you wanted to there as well. At the moment it's set to come on the inside, but you could set it to go on the outside of the shape, and you can set like what the end points are going to look like and what the corner points are going to be looking like as well for your particular stroke. Coming back here to set the stroke, you can also set it as a gradient, or you could set it as a pattern, so it doesn't have to be a solid color all the way around the outside. You could go and choose a gradient and have a gradient of a stroke around the outside. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to come and just say that I don't want any stroke. By the way, those features are still available here in terms of the fill, so you could fill it with a gradient, or you could fill it with a pattern, for example. But I'm just going to go back to my solid fill color and choose my purple that I had before. What's nice and new here in the shape tool as well is that you can now do rounded corners. So just by putting my mouse right on this edge here, I can just click and drag with my mouse, and what it does is it rounds off the corners of that shape. And at the moment it's rounding all four corners by the same amount because this chain link is engaged here in the middle. I'm just going to step that back and undo that so that it'll go back to 0. Take the chain link off, and then you just do the rounded corner on this edge and then the rounded corner on this edge. You can come up with these really kind of nice looking shape effects that we've got going on here. And to reset everything, you can just come back in here and just type 0, and it will reset it all back to the 0 that we wanted as well. It's changed it here to centimeters, so let's put in 0px. Let's make it sure it is a 0px, and there we go. It should be back in the pixel unit values. One other thing that I like to do about shapes as well is you can come here to the layers panel. When you can see it's a separate layer, it gives us all the flexibility. It means that we can move it, we can do a Control T, we can resize it, we can rotate it, we can do all those different kinds of things that we would normally do as well. Just resized it, it's going to convert it into a normal sort of shape layer. If I double click here now, I can come over and change the color and all those kind of things as well that we wanted to do. That option, by converting it into a normal shape object, means that I can no longer go in and, for example, and change the rounded corners of this shape anymore. But one thing that I do like to do with shapes is that we come over here just below the pen tool and just next to the shape tool, right mouse click and pick up the direct selection tool. The direct selection tool, if you click on your shape, it then brings up these four sort of hollow corners that you can see here, these little square boxes that we got. What that now means is that I can actually customize this shape myself. I can click on it and I can drag these points around, and I can take what was a rectangle shape and make it into a real sort of kind of custom shape. So just by clicking here and doing this, I can really transform any shape, any kind of shape you can convert by messing about with these anchor points that we've got here and creating different kinds of shapes that weren't available previously on your menu here. If I right mouse click and go on the path selection tool and just grab it here, I can move it around still, just as if I was doing Control and T, for example, if I wanted to move it. And going back to the direct selection tool, I can click on the shape and then click on an anchor point, and I can pull it out and move it around and recreate any kind of custom shape that I wanted to. Coming back here to the pen tool, you can even go in and convert a point. So I could come here and click to convert this point, and when I do that, it now becomes a point that I can really manipulate. If I go back to my direct selection tool, I can now pull it out, but I can also change how much of the curve there is, so I can really come up with some unusual and strange shapes going on here just by dragging these little handles to create more curved shapes. So that was just right mouse clicking on the pen tool and choosing convert these corner points, because it was a rectangle there originally called corner points, converting them into points that allow me to create curves. So that's quite a nice thing with the shape tool. Another nice thing with the shape tool is the custom shape tool. So with the custom shape tool, you have some predefined shapes that are available for you, such as hearts and these other things like a light bulb or grass. And again, you would just select them and then just click and drag out on your page, and you have a shape. And it comes up as its own shape layer, so it's independent of this one. You can use these tools to go in and manipulate it again. You can double click and change the color, all those different kinds of things. Now these shapes are available here. There's a limited number at the moment, but you can go to this little menu option here and you can add in categories. So if you just wanted animals, you could just search for animal shapes, or you could just load in all of them, choose append, and it adds in all the shapes that are available in Photoshop. So you can come and create all of these different kinds of shapes. So that's the custom shape tool that's available there. That's also just using a rectangle shape tool and then manipulating it using other tools to create our own kind of custom shape and look to our shape, and how you can use the properties to alter your shapes as well.